Chapter 1867, Tianu Palace. If there is alien life in this world, where are they? For me. After hearing Zhang Yi's words, Ling suddenly smiled. As if she had heard some childish remarks, she looked at Zhang Yi with a hint of pity in her eyes. Have you forgotten what I said? This planet is a testing ground built by the Creator. The entire universe exists to create such an excellent environment for you. So this is the center of the universe. This is the most suitable place for human survival in the universe. If we leave here, the world outside won't be any better. What's more, her tone became heavy. We absolutely cannot leave the cosmic vortex centered on the sun. Zhang Yi raised his eyebrows. Cosmic vortex? This is their understanding of galaxies. Why? Because it doesn't make any sense. And no civilization can develop to the point where their technology is sufficient to support them to leave the solar system you mentioned and disappear. No civilization can create a space travel tool that can travel faster than the speed of light. Zhang Yi thought of a term, curvature engine. He opened his eyes wide. You have such advanced technology, can't you do it? Light is the limiter of this universe, and it is an iron law that can never be surpassed. Everything in the material world is limited by existence. The only thing that can surpass the speed of light is human will, that is, the spirit. So, there may be powerful biological individuals that can reach the speed of light. For example, you and our group are combined unconsciously now. But there is no point in doing so. The desolate universe is a dead place. Humans dream of leaving this area, thinking that there is a vast world with rich resources outside. But in reality, there is nothing there. Zhang Yi was silent for a while, then said stiffly, At least there are resources there. Yes. We have also developed the resources of the universe. We have tried everything you can think of, but we all failed in the end. Ling said lightly. Zhang Yi looked at Ling, thought for a moment, and then asked, If you had been working hard to study technology at the beginning of the world, would you have already developed civilization to the entire galaxy? Ling said, Maybe, but why should we do that? Since you already know that the world is nothingness and only thoughts last forever, why do you chase after the phantom light in the world of nothingness? Zhang Yi felt that he couldn't continue chatting with her. The two people's thinking dimensions are not at the same level. It's like a beggar who doesn't understand why a wealthy man who still has tens of millions of dollars after bankruptcy would seek death. I can probably understand it. The fifth the Wan tribe disappeared because of self-destruction, so the Creator later created us, the first people. After listening to the previous story, Zhang Yi was able to imagine the next part of the story. But we made the same mistake as the Ehan tribe, and thus faced destruction again. Is that what you mean? Ling remained indifferent and said, Who knows? Only when a civilization is destroyed will we know what the Creator wants to do. But you are wrong about one thing. The reason for the destruction of the Ehan tribe was not entirely due to the Creator. Zhang Yi raised his eyebrows. Oh, then, what's the reason? Because of the Drucker people. Ling said the name again. Zhang Yi couldn't help but twitch the corners of his eyes. No. How can these guys survive so well? Ling said calmly. I said before, they are the strongest life forms created by the Creator. The Creator originally intended to give them an almost indestructible body, but they did not need to have the ability to think and then observe the world for them for a long time. But I didn't expect them to be beyond our control. Even if the Creator always wants to kill them, there will always be Drucks who survive. Moreover, they are becoming more and more powerful. Even if the Creator no longer allows them to reproduce, they can continue their lives in their own way. And this method is plunder. They plunder spirits from other tribes. This is an ability they have evolved after experiencing countless devastating blows. Every once in a while, they would recover from the devastating blow in the previous life, and then begin to plunder the spirits of humans in this world. The simplest and most brutal way is to kill humans in this world. That's why, since their birth, they've been constantly attacking humans of all times. The Ehan tribe chose to hide and no longer appear because of them. Later, the Yak people and the Ehan tribe were both wiped out by them. Ling looked at Zhang Yi. Now, it's your turn. Zhang Yi swallowed his saliva and asked a question with difficulty. Is there Drucker among us? He thought of Ichigo, Chungwan, the mysterious underwater man, the kid from the Wulwan Empire, and even the 3 pillars of the Neon Underground. Kuling said, No, they are all the AK and Ehan people who survived before. But the Druckers will soon appear. She took a deep breath, her expression calm and relieved. Why? Zhang Yi clenched his fists, and for some reason, he felt a sense of panic in his heart. The races they had encountered before were the Yak and Iwan people. They were civilized races, and not as brutal as Drucker, but they had already posed a great threat to them. And if a race that does not think about anything except killing and eating, and cannot even destroy the Creator, appears in the world, what kind of disaster will it bring? Just thinking about it makes one's scalp tingle and a chill run down the back. Ling said, Because we showed up. She sighed softly. For endless years, they have eaten everything and destroyed everything in order to survive. And possessing us, the most powerful spiritual beings, is their biggest goal. Zhang Yi opened his eyes wide and asked loudly in confusion, If that's the case, why did you open the light gate? With your technical level, if you don't show up, no one should be able to find you. Ling said, Because we are tired of it. She looked at Zhang Yi calmly, and Zhang Yi suddenly felt a gentle breeze blowing through his body. The white light behind Ling slowly dissipated, as if the mist was brushed away by a big hand, revealing a colorful and bright world behind it. Behind Ling, and in front of Zhang Yi, a tall staircase appeared, suspended in the air. The world around him was filled with long film-like images that kept circling in the air. Zhang Yi glanced around, curious and confused. What is this place? Ling turned around and walked towards the direction step by step. Zhang Yi hurriedly followed. He looked up and saw that at the top of the long stairs, there seemed to be a huge object floating. The stairs were very long and seemed to have thousands of floors, but the huge object was clearly visible, and it was hard to imagine its size. The shape of the temple is like several oval-shaped wheels interlaced with each other, with a space in the middle. The wheels overlap and rotate slowly. The Ehan tribe is tired of this world and is no longer willing to serve the Creator and reproduce. However, the death mechanism set by the Creator for living things still exists. They are not like Drucker, who has an almost indestructible body, so the destruction of the body is inevitable. So later, we developed something like this Tianu palace. All the spirits of the Ehan people have left their bodies and entered this palace. Here, we create a world that is even larger than the material universe. Our spirits can exist forever in it and will not be taken back by the Creator. In Tianu Palace, we can enjoy all the material pleasures and live as we please. Just like this, we can spend an extremely long time. Zhang Yi was extremely shocked. We humans have also said that we can transmit our consciousness to the cloud and achieve immortality. I didn't expect that someone had already done this countless billions of years ago. Ling and Zhang Yi walked towards the direction together. But a long life with no end in sight will eventually make people tired. Because there are spirits in this place, and the spirits are well protected and cannot return to the sky. Therefore, there is no death here, and even if you want to commit suicide subjectively, you can't do it. There is one thing people live for, and that is to enjoy themselves. In the early days, people lived happily because all their wishes could be fulfilled. However, if a person does not have any goals, he will soon fall into endless pain. Living a repetitive life every day, not being able to reproduce, and not having work to complete will lead to self-doubt. We solve this problem for people and create jobs that allow people to experience troubles and find life goals while enjoying themselves. But since we know that everything is virtual, we naturally cannot get motivated. Ling turned her head and glanced at Zhang Yi. This glance seemed to last for tens of millions of years. Do you know how long this process lasts? Zhang Yi shook his head honestly. I don't know. Ling gently spit out a number. According to the orbital period of this planet, it is 4.5 billion years. Zhang Yi. What else can he say? At this point, he had nothing to say. 4.5 billion years is a long time, the same as the lifespan of this planet. In such an environment, enduring the repetitive days that can never end is indeed an extremely terrifying thing. So, you're tired of it? You want to destroy yourselves? Zhang Yi finally understood everything at this time, why the Ehan tribe took the initiative to expose their location, and why they selected so many trial takers to enter their world. Perhaps they wanted to give their own existence a pause, to end this 4.5 billion years of eternal loneliness. However, they don't want everything they have to disappear for no reason, so they have such a trial so that someone can inherit their things. The two of them walked towards the end of the stairs step by step. The closer they got, the larger the nested rings became. Its size is hard to describe, making people feel like a star floating in the sky above their heads. Zhang Yi's mood was somewhat indescribable. He didn't know whether he should be excited or melancholy at this moment. Even the god-level genius, the second-best Ehan clan, couldn't solve the problem. Could he really solve it? Oh, that's not right. The Ehan people don't care about these things at all. They are tired of their long lives and naturally won't consider anything in the material world anymore. Soon, they will return to the ether. Zhang Yi lowered his head and asked softly, "Can I ask the name of the creature you mentioned?" Name? A creature is a creature. He doesn't need people to call him by his name. It's just for symbolic meaning. We use the first voice humans hear from the oracle as his name. That voice is JHW. Zhang Yi closed his eyes. At this moment, everything formed a closed loop. JHW, Jehovah. Kagawa, Pengu, Adam, Apsu, Jehovah. Zhang Yi thought of many things in a trance, and his mind was clear at this moment. At this time, Ling said another sentence. And we, the Ehan tribe, also call it origin or chaos. Zhang Yi was stunned for a moment, then smiled bitterly. It's quite a coincidence. Before they knew it, they had reached the top of the stairs, which was a huge platform. The enormous Tianu palace hung high above their heads like a star, making people look up unconsciously and feel awe in their hearts. After stepping onto the platform, Zhang Yi discovered that he was not the only one here. In addition to him, there were two other people coming from another road. One is Yang Xinxin, and the other is Yichigel, the king of the Tsangyuan tribe. I thought that only I passed the test. Zhang Yi narrowed his eyes and looked at Yichigel coldly. Once this guy leaves this world, he will definitely become a huge threat to Zhang Yi and even the entire human race. Next to Ichigel stood a knight wearing a cross mask. Next to Yang Xinxin stood two knights, the one wearing the Mad Dog helmet and the one wearing the Thorn helmet. Zhang Yi looked at Ling in confusion. By the way, I haven't asked you yet, what kind of existence are you? Ling said, they are the humanoid contact device for mechanical life forms created by the administrator. All the members of the Ehan tribe have separated from their mechanical bodies and their spirits have entered the Tianu palace. However, when performing special tasks, we need to lower the dimension, so we imitated the creation and built such a terminal. She looked at Zhang Yi. The indifference on her face slowly faded away, and she returned to her former eccentric self as Agent Ling. We realized that this world was about to enter a new cycle, so we sent out our own to find a life that could inherit everything we had. She looked in the other two directions and said calmly, in the final trial, everyone died in battle. So the administrator asked us to vote for someone to inherit everything of the Ehan tribe. Every knight has the right to vote. Obviously, the girl next to you is more popular. Zhang Yi shrugged. She has always been the best one. Zhang Yi has never been stingy with his praise for his friends. Zhang Yi and Yang Xinxin looked at each other and nodded in tacit understanding, but they looked at Yichigel with vigilance in their eyes. Yichigel also looked at the two of them slowly, with an unfriendly gaze. The Ehan clan's legacy should only belong to he alone. How could such lowly creatures appear here? He said dissatisfiedly. The Crusader looked at him and said, everything is arranged by fate. This gift may be very heavy. Are you really ready? Ichigo replied without any hesitation. Of course. For this, I am willing to give everything. Even my life. Zhang Yi raised his head and looked up at the Tianu palace in the sky. At this moment he realized that this was the most important thing to him. What is the legacy of the Ehan people? The source of God? No, he already understood what the source of God was. To be precise, it is spirit ether. It is the most important existence of intelligent life. The more spiritual creatures possess, the closer they are to the Creator, so they can possess extraordinary power in the material world. Because everything in the material world comes from the ether, it exists because of people's observation, and naturally it can also change because of the observing body, spirit. This is also why aliens do not need to follow the principle of conservation of energy in the material world. Just like playing online games, players only need one operation to perform various counterintuitive operations. Ling, what is the final reward? Zhang Yi looked at Ling. Ling's expression at this moment was a little strange. She didn't look at Zhang Yi, but kept staring at the Tianu palace in the sky. All of a sudden, I will return to the ether, and this will disappear and become a part of Kagago. I've long been tired of the endless life, but suddenly, I really have to leave. It feels a bit strange. Zhang Yi opened his mouth and said slowly, You want to leave too? Ling nodded. The Ehan clan 14.8 billion souls were protected by the Tianu palace, or in other words, sealed away. No one has been able to find them in the past billions of years. And the loss of this mass has a great impact on the next two universes. Now, we are going to return this mass. She looked at Zhang Yi with a very strange look. The story that you have told me, and everything you are going to experience next, is our last gift to this world. The moment she finished speaking, Zhang Yi seemed to hear the sound of something breaking. He raised his head, and the huge Tianu palace, which was as big as a star, shattered in an instant. The buildings made of material objects scattered like snowflakes, but there was no dust, as if they had disappeared out of thin air. Then, a white light as vast as the ocean surged towards all directions like a tsunami. There was only endless white light left in Zhang Yi's eyes. In this white wave, his body seemed to become naked, allowing a large amount of white light to wash over his body. In this endless wave, 14.8 billion spiritual essences of the Ehan tribe were completely released. When Zhang Yi looked carefully, he vaguely saw a bunch of white balls. This scene was so familiar that it reminded Zhang Yi of the dream he often had. It turned out that his countless dreams were all his thoughts, his ideas, and his spirit connected to the ether. The outside world, the area outside Chernobyl, is already full of people, and countries and major organizations around the world have sent people over. The aliens who had participated in the trial before and were eliminated were also waiting for the result here. Naturally, no one would forget their grievances with the mechanical race. But temporarily, this issue must be put aside and no one dares to disturb the trial. Loradek held the sword in both hands, stood away from the crowd, and waited for his king to return. At this moment, he was covered with scars, which were left before he entered the trial space and could not be repaired. His strength is there for everyone to see, and no one dares to challenge him to death. From Fremont, northwest of the original site of Chernobyl, to the Sahara Desert in Africa, there is a distance of more than 5,000 kilometers. In the desolate desert, looking down from the sky, you can find a huge circular pit. It has a diameter of 48 kilometers and looks like a giant eyeball. It has a very famous title, the Eye of the Sahara. The 369 polyhedrons in the sky that were used to observe the planets began to slowly decompose, symbolizing the end of a civilization. And suddenly, in this desolate land that had existed for an endless time, the huge eyeball seemed to come alive and began to move in an incredible way. A storm surged in the desert. Yellow sand rose into the sky. The Eye of the Sahara was spinning, and the earth and rocks in the vast desert were shaking violently, as if the demon buried here in ancient times had suddenly awakened. Countries around the world were shocked by this sudden scene. Those polyhedral aircraft in the sky suddenly began to disintegrate. What is going on? They should be sent by Ming behind the light gate. Could it be that something happened behind the scenes? I don't know. We have no way to observe what happens behind the door. What the hell is going on in the sky over Chernobyl? Looking from satellites of countries around the world, it was discovered that the area of Chernobyl's sky suddenly turned dark. It was as if a black eye covered everything. A violent storm arose in the sky above Chernobyl, and the thick dark clouds in the sky seemed to be dragged over by something in an instant, covering the entire area. Thaddeus Sue and the others hurriedly stood firm, and after Huahua's huge jump, they used their bodies to protect everyone from being blown away by the strong wind. What the hell is going on? Damn it! I can't even see my fingers when I stretch my hand out now. It's good this way, so others won't know you're ugly. Nonsense. He is obviously very handsome, at least second only to Big Brother, he in Tianhai City. Oh, your breath is worse than your foot odor now. A few people were joking around, and suddenly light appeared on the barren plain of Chernobyl. Deng Shintong lit up a star, filling the sky with light.